Welcome to Gold Derby. I'm senior editor Denton Davidson here with the winner of MasterChef Generations, Michael. Congratulations. Tell me what it was like to hear them call your name and announce you as the season 14 champ.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm extremely excited to be here. It's surreal. It's something, that I've always dreamed of, and then I guess it's something that you feel like you can do. But when it happens, it's like a dream come true. It's like I'm living this alternate reality, but it's insane.
Well, throughout the final challenge, the judges commented on a few occasions that your dishes were risky or that you were being pretty ambitious. Did you feel at the time that what you were doing was risky?
I think so. I think there were certain dishes that I did make that I knew I was taking a little bit of a risk. It just depends on the challenge and what you're facing. Sometimes I can implement a little bit more of my skill set. Other times I had to, just do what the challenge was. But yeah, absolutely. Sometimes I definitely felt like I was taking a risk.
How did you come up with the final three-course meal? Was that like sort of in the back of your mind all season, or was that something you thought up pretty close to the finale?
Well, when it comes to the final menu, it was more of a concept before it was an actual dish. So having the concept in the background, which was basically taking on a journey from my life, from growing up in New Jersey all the way to where I am now. Yeah, it kind of completely made the dish, the story itself. And it just conceptually, that's how I came about it.
And your mom was a constant theme through this, and you really wanted to pay tribute to her, and what a beautiful job you did with that. Talk about how she inspired you.
Yeah, my mom was literally one of my biggest inspirations, if not my biggest inspiration, especially during this journey on MasterChef. She just inspired me to keep going, keep fighting, and just do the best that I possibly can. She always believed in me more than anybody else. And, it just forced me to really believe in myself during this and do the best that I possibly could.
And you used to watch MasterChef together?
Absolutely. Yeah. Me and my mom used to watch MasterChef together all the time. Yeah. One of actually, the last show we watched together was MasterChef. And it's just, she used to always say that you could be on this, you could win this. And actually being on this and then winning it is surreal.
So what age did you get interested in cooking for her to say that? I mean, like what sort of turned you on to cooking in the first place? How old were you?
The first time I can remember doing anything in the kitchen, I was probably around 4 years old. I just have this faint memory of me making soup, it was not soup. It was crude tap water mixed with, various spices that we had in the cabinet. I threw it in the microwave and I told everybody it was soup. But yeah, I've always been in the kitchen since a young age. My dad was always cooking for big crowds, having people over. My mom cooked too. And it's just I was always around, cooking, and I took an interest in it, a liking to it. I always used to want to wash dishes in the kitchen, just to be there. So yeah, I've always had an interest since a young age.
Well, at Gold Derby, we have fans from all over predicting who'll go home each week, who we think will be the winner, and I've gotten pretty good at this. I mean, I started picking you about halfway through the season to win.
Oh
Um,
wow.
you were consistent, doing really well. The judges were making some comments about how you were really starting to turn it on. At what point this season did you really start to believe you could win this thing?
Um, I want to say that I believed in myself the whole time, but when I really knew it was a stark possibility is probably about, like you said, halfway through. That's when my confidence started to really shine. I think it really comes down to a confidence issue. When you first start, you have to really, really believe you can do it because you're facing so much adversity. And to overcome all of it, it's essential that you believe in yourself. So, when I finally was able to start believing in my abilities and trusting what I knew and what I learned throughout all the years, that's when I just kind of had that fire under me, and I was like, I'm going to make this happen.
What was the most difficult challenge this season? What tripped you up the most?
That's a tough question. I'm going to have to say that the most difficult challenge was probably restaurant takeover. That had to be, it was just so intense, fierce in there. You've got Gordon Ramsay screaming at you. I mean, it's just, yeah, that was definitely high level intensity, and it required the most focus. I would also say that following along with Gordon Ramsay was also probably up there too. Yeah.
And Restaurant Takeover, that was also a turning point for you because Mert was team captain. He was having some struggles, and then Gordon ripped that C off of him, and then you had to take over. So that you stepping up was probably a good thing for you in the end.
Yeah, yeah, it was. He started off as captain, and having to change ship and change leadership right at that point was it was a little jarring. I'm not going to lie, but I was ready to take on the challenge. I was like, here we go. This is my moment to show that I can be a leader as well, as listen really well in the kitchen. So I was definitely excited for that opportunity.
Well, and that's always an interesting challenge as well because I mean, these are home cooks. This isn't a group of people. It's not like Hell's Kitchen where the goal is to, run a restaurant and all these people come as their line cooks and their sous chefs and all of these things. These are home cooks. You're not used to preparing dishes for a whole room of diners. So what was that like for you?
Yeah, when it started, I was nervous. I was so nervous. But as soon as the service started running, things started getting smoother. I feel like I went into this zone of whatever I was cooking. I was on scallops originally, and then I was on New York strips. I just remembered I did my best to focus on what I was doing, but making sure that everybody was working together to get all the elements together.
The concept this season of Generations, I thought that was really fun.
Yeah.
You were, of course, on the millennial team. Gen X went down fast. I was disappointed. I'm a Gen Xer.
Yeah.
But what did you think about the concept of Generations when you started? At what point in the process did you hear about that, and did you learn anything from it?
Yeah, so we were just as shocked to find out it was Generations as everybody else was. We found out right when we got thrown into it, and we were like, "Wow, okay, this is a pretty cool concept." I thought it was great, to be honest. I think that's kind of one of the biggest questions when it comes to cooking. It's, you've got people that are older, and then people that are younger, with new ideas, and then people that are set in their ways. And there's always the in between there, with millennials and Gen X. So it's really interesting to see how they all, combat against each other and complement each other as well. You see us working together throughout the competition. You see us butting heads as well. But yeah, I think it's such a good concept to create that question in your mind of what would happen when all these people go at it.
Yeah. Close the oven, Rebecca. You had to keep telling her. That's what I remember from that challenge. Who was one of the chefs that you sort of maybe could see yourself in a little bit or got along the best with?
That's a really good question. I got along with a lot of the chefs there, but I would have to say that me and Adam got along really well. He was very knowledgeable about cooking. We both kind of studied cooking a lot, and I could just tell when me and him have a conversation, we were on the same wavelength of what we wanted out of food, what kind of cuisine we wanted to cook, things of that nature. So yeah, I definitely was happy to be paired with him during the wall challenge. Yeah. So I think he was definitely probably one of the chefs I got along with the most.
And is it an irrigation business in Myrtle Beach that you
Yeah,
own?
that's correct.
So are you sticking with that? Like, do you want to focus more on cooking now? Like, where do you see your direction going now that you've had this success on MasterChef?
Well, of course. I mean, it's all about the cooking now. It's always been my passion and, something I've wanted to pursue, but I'm just going to keep going with this momentum and see where I could take it. It's living a dream and I'm not going to stop here. So I'm just going to keep on going and see where it all takes me.
I mentioned earlier that it's not like Hell's Kitchen where we have all of these, professional cooks coming in. Where do you see your future in cooking? Is a restaurant something you're interested in? Do you want to do social media, cooking, private chef? Like, what sort of future do you envision for yourself?
Well, I think all of those are definitely in play. As far as a restaurant goes, I've always wanted a restaurant, but it's definitely going to be something I do further down the line. I always said I want to gain more experience and, travel and taste different cuisines before I open up a restaurant, just so I know exactly, what kind of flavors and what I really want to go for. So that's definitely something down the line. But as far as right now, of course, I definitely want to, create content on social media, things like that. And also, of course, private catering events like that. That would be so much fun to do. Now I've got a little bit of, experience working with that. That would be really cool to be able to just try to keep going with it and see what I can make happen.
Contestants always talk about how much they grow on this show, as chefs and cooks. How did you grow? Like, what do you learn from Gordon and Aarón and Joe in that kitchen? What is it like to have them, just staring you in the face and critiquing your food and teaching you a lot of technique?
Yeah, I mean it's everything I could ask for, honestly. I've studied Gordon Ramsay for a long time, watched a lot of his videos, even Aarón as well. I was a big fan of him for a long time. And just having those two chefs right there, just like critiquing what I'm doing, just like you said, it's insane. I learned a lot and I had to act like Ramsay says all the time, I wanted to act like a sponge and take in every little technique that they told me, every subtle nuance. So you should do this. I mean, even now when I cook still in my kitchen, I always think back to the little things that they told me because I mean, it's invaluable. And that's what's going to take me to the next level as a chef and make me just constantly grow is those critiques. And I hope I can get more of that experience, as my journey goes on.
And final question that I like to ask cooks. What's something that you would rather order in a restaurant than make for yourself?
That's a really tough one. I have to say anything that I would order in a restaurant that I wouldn't make for myself would probably be something that takes longer to cook, something that's braised. Just because, sometimes I really like to eat those deep flavored dishes, but they take a long time to cook, and sometimes I don't have the time to sit there, for 5, 6 hours just to make something like that. But yeah, anything with deep flavor like that, anything braised, I probably would order or like a duck confit, something like that. That's something I probably wouldn't make myself. I mean, I would, but I would rather order it.
Well, the jacket looks good. Is
Thank
that
you.
do you cook around the house in that now? Are you like, oh yeah,
I don't
we'll
want to
make
get
some
any
eggs.
stains on it.
You got to keep it white. Got to keep it clean.
Exactly.
Well, it was really fun to watch this season, Michael. We look forward to what's next for you, and thanks for chatting with Gold Derby today.
Awesome. Thank you for having me.